It's Thursday, March 16th, and this is now on HNN.
I'm really grateful that no one is hurt, my kids are safe.
Honolulu police investigate after a car goes over a ledge in the Punchbowl area.
Russians have made it to the wreckage site of the downed American drone in the Black Sea. I'm Skyler Henry in Washington with reactions from defense officials and the video showing the moments leading up to the drone's crash with a Russian jet.
I think my team, we just need confidence and giving them the confidence that we can win this game.
These stories, plus we're on the road with the Rainbow Wahine basketball team as they prepare to take on LSU in the NCAA tournament. A report from Baton Rouge coming up on This Is Now.
Aloha and good afternoon. Thanks for joining us here on This Is Now. I'm Dylan alongside Ashley in the Digital Center. First today, some residents woke up in the Punchbowl area to a very loud crash.
That's right. A car went over a ledge and crashed into another car below. Casey Lund takes us to the scene.
Aloha from Green and Alapai, and I'm going to step out of the way and let you see what happened. This happened just before 6:30 this morning. Quite a scene here. We arrived shortly after, and then as the morning went on, tow truck came to try and remove that vehicle. I'll tell you what we learned from HPD. There's not a whole lot to say. They say the driver of that sedan was trying to park at that business that is above that rock wall. At some point, she maybe possibly accidentally accelerated and then eventually lurched forward, and you can see the result. She came through that fence, over the wall, and then crashed, really crushing that other sedan, that four-door Toyota that you see there. When we were on scene, we were able to talk to the gentleman. His name's Mark Incencio, who owns that vehicle. He says if the timing had been just a little different, he and his family may have been in that vehicle.
I was supposed to work at 7 o'clock and I had my alarm on 6. I said it's too early because I work close by. Then I waited 30 minutes. Then by the time I go out, I saw the cops, and then I come close to my car and I already saw what happened. It's really sad, but I'm still grateful that I'm not inside, my kids are safe, and even the lady who's driving the other car is safe.
And HPD tells me the driver of that vehicle, not in any trouble. There was no indication that she was intoxicated. Again, grateful that nobody was hurt in all of this, neither the driver or Mark, again, whose car was beneath that Toyota Camry. But you can see the large task that it was this morning, trying to remove that vehicle, bring it back over the rock wall, past the fence, and get it back on level ground. The tow truck company was able to do that. It took them a little while. Obviously, they wanted to be very, very careful, but they were able to get that back up, tow it away. Again, a very wild scene here on Green Street to pull up to, and definitely drew a crowd this morning as it was all unfolding. But everyone we spoke to here, grateful that nobody was hurt. Reporting on Green Street, I'm Casey Lund. For now, we'll send things back to you.
Mililani murder suspect Samuel Jones was scheduled to make his initial appearance in court this morning. He's suspected in the death of a woman identified by families as 21-year-old Jordan Laulusa. Her body was found in a burned-out car on the Mililani High School campus. Jones has been charged with second-degree murder and first-degree arson. His bail has been set at $1 million. Big Island attempted murder suspect Ronald Kahihikolo has been indicted. The 44-year-old appeared in court yesterday. He's also accused of leading police on a chase last Friday from Kona to Hamakua, at times reaching speeds of 115 miles an hour. He was initially wanted after allegedly shooting a woman in Ocean View last week Tuesday in a domestic dispute. A judge continued his hearing to next Friday to give witnesses more time to come forward.
The Honolulu City Council approved a measure yesterday that would ban the public from carrying firearms in sensitive places, including schools, hospitals, and polling places. The measure is in response to a Supreme Court decision that expanded gun rights. The measure also requires anyone carrying a firearm to present their license if they are asked by police. It now goes to the mayor for his signature. New at noon, a Honolulu Addiction Treatment Center is being fined for not paying 34 workers and support staff overtime and minimum wages. The U.S. Labor Department found that Klein Welsh Behavioral Health Foundation, who operates the Sand Island Treatment Center, shelter was involved in illegal pay practices. In some cases, investigators discovered the facility paid workers providing patient care and other services as little as $400 a month. The facility must now pay affected workers over $450,000 in back wages. The foundation was also fined $10,000 in civil penalties.
Arlene Kawano continues her special series on the dangers of lithium batteries, and she recently looked at the fire risk they pose.
From watches to scooters to electric vehicles, firefighters on the Big Island are learning how to deal with the dangers of lithium batteries. A hoverboard spitting fire in the hallway of a Utah home. An e-bike bursting into flames as a child scurries out of the way in a New York store. And a scooter that starts smoking, forcing the rider to park it. Micro-mobility devices, as they're called, are becoming a popular, eco-friendly means of transportation worldwide. But the power source for these vehicles are behind raging house fires, including this one in Kalihi last year. The lithium batteries used are also being blamed for thousands of injuries and hospitalizations.
They have set it on fire intentionally.
Christina Baxter is a leading expert when it comes to hazardous materials response. She travels the country training first responders on how to attack or contain lithium battery fires.
He turns back around in a minute and you're going to see the flames going.
You're getting a first look at a training course for Big Island firefighters.
What these batteries are, how they work, what threats it presents to our community, and what our first responders can do about it.
Experts say the power source becomes volatile when compromised. That can happen when the rider hits a curb or damages the protective casing.
If the membrane gets open and air gets in, you'll have a flame.
Bill Ogawa, owner of Battery Bill, demonstrated the reaction after puncturing a battery on video. Toxic smoke starts to shoot out within seconds. Smoke is often followed by flames when a lithium battery gets too hot, especially when plugged in.
You definitely would want to be looking at and being able to supervise or observe the device being charged and not overcharge it. So once it's done charging, remove it from the charger.
Smaller lithium battery powered equipment like phones, laptops, older model e-cigs have also caused injuries, especially because the owners often carry them in a pocket or purse close to the body.
They're extremely hot and almost explosive. So you'll get a third degree or a full thickness burn, and that requires, if not grafting, at least a month in the hospital.
Dr. Schultz from Straub's burn unit warns if the device feels hot, wait until it cools before putting it near your skin. With the mobility devices, e-bikes, scooters, and hoverboards, use the manufacturer-approved charger. Don't charge them inside your home. If you have to, don't let it block a fire exit route. And never charge overnight while you're sleeping. I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.
Maui health and union officials went back to the bargaining table Tuesday and reached a tentative agreement. Employees will now vote on it this week. According to Maui health officials, the 3-year offer includes an average 8.9% pay increase for workers, a $1,500 cash bonus for union employees, along with other benefits. Maui Health is hopeful this will satisfy the 500 workers who walked off the job on February 22nd.
Well, new data out of the CDC this week reveals a worrying trend. Deaths among pregnant women in the U.S. are on the rise again in 2021, particularly among women of color. Now, joining us with more on this is Gloria Pazmino. Gloria, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Ashley, the numbers are really staggering, alarming if you consider that the numbers are coming out of right here, the United States, one of the most developed and wealthiest nations in the world. In 2021, we saw a 40% increase from 2020 and the highest rate of deaths that the country has seen since the 1960s.
Women in the United States are dying from pregnancy or childbirth-related causes at an alarming rate, with the number of maternal deaths rising to more than 1,200 in 2021.
Sadly, I don't think it's surprising that we see this spike.
A new report from the CDC reveals there were nearly 33 deaths per 100,000 live births in 2021, a sharp increase from years earlier.
We definitely saw that we were seeing sicker patients during this time.
The maternal death rate has been steadily rising for decades.
During 2021, we saw the Delta variant, which was predominant, which really affected pregnant people, both in terms of maternal outcomes, but also pregnancy outcomes.
The report also notes significant continued racial disparities. The maternal death rate for Black women was 2.6 times the rate for white women, mirroring the impact of the pandemic on communities of color and further highlighting inequality within healthcare.
People who are Black or Hispanic were disproportionately affected by the COVID pandemic. And, that disparity now is presenting itself in maternal death rates as well.
To prevent future maternal deaths, Dr. Tori Metz says improving access to care at every level is critical.
And now it's really talking to people in these communities and asking, what are the barriers to care? How can we help? I think that people are really starting to think in those directions.
And to that point, at the federal level, the Biden administration so far has made this into a priority. They have introduced the Black Maternal Momnibus Act of 2021. That's a sweeping bipartisan package of bills that is aimed at supporting Black mothers, making sure that they have access to proper benefits and care, not just post-pregnancy and post-given birth, but also prenatal care.
Yeah, and you
Ashley?
mentioned COVID, Gloria. What is it specifically about COVID that might have caused these numbers to rise?
Yeah, well, COVID is the one major variable that you have in the last few years. And there are some conditions that are associated with COVID that may also be associated with pregnancy, things like shortness of breath or fatigue. Now, what we also had during COVID was that so many of us were not seeing our doctors in person, including women who might have been pregnant at the time. And what that means is that maybe there was a complication, an issue, something that that particular woman was going through that the doctor wasn't able to correctly identify or identify early enough to do something about it because we were in a lockdown and not able to access healthcare in the conventional way that we are all used to. So they haven't been able to draw a direct line, but there are all these issues like preeclampsia and blood clots and all of these other risks that come along with pregnancy that mean that if you are also infected with COVID-19 and pregnant, that your risk of mortality is that much higher.
Right, and looking at the data, Gloria, race wasn't the only disparity when it came to maternal death rates. Age was also listed as that. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, often, Ashley, we talk about women in age and when they get pregnant and that it's harder for women who are a little bit older. But the study showed that women over 40 were 7 times higher, more likely than those under 25 to face these steep mortality rates.
All right, joining us this afternoon, Gloria Pazmino. We appreciate the time, Gloria.
Honda is recalling 500,000 vehicles in the U.S. and Canada because the front seat belts may not latch properly. The recall covers some of the automaker's top-selling models, including the 2017 through 2020 CR-V, the 2018 and 2019 Accord, the 2018 through 2020 Odyssey, and the 2019 Insight. Also included is the Acura RDX from the 2019 and 2020 models. Honda found that the surface coating on the channel for the buckle can deteriorate over time. The release button can shrink against the channel at lower temperatures, increasing friction and stopping the buckle from latching. If the buckle doesn't latch properly, a driver or passenger may not be restrained in a crash, increasing the risk of injury. Honda says it has no reports of injuries so far. Owners will be notified by letters starting April 17. The Pentagon has released new video showing a Russian jet harassing, then causing an American drone to crash into the Black Sea near the border of Russia and Ukraine. Skylar Henry has the details from Washington, D.C.
New video shows the moment a Russian jet collided with an American drone just before the drone crashed into the Black Sea. The Pentagon says 2 Russian jets made 19 passes of the drone, dumping fuel on the drone each time before clipping it on the last pass.
This drone was probably simply keeping track of where Russian military ships were in the Black Sea.
Russia says it had restricted that airspace at the start of the war with Ukraine, and the drone had no right to be there.
And they're saying anything that flies in there, we're going to shoot it down. So this is a direct test of the Biden administration to trying to see what the limits are, and it's a message of their displeasure, but more importantly, I think it's a test to see if we'll respond to it, if we'll continue to fly, or if this causes us not to fly in that area anymore.
Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin spoke to his Russian counterpart for the first time in 5 months Wednesday, showing how seriously both sides are taking the incident.
Make no mistake, the United States will continue to fly and to operate wherever international law allows.
A U.S. official confirms that a Russian ship has already recovered some of the wreckage from the drone crash. However, they also say they've wiped the drone software to remove any sensitive data.
We are quite confident that whatever was of value is no longer of value.
The incident is the first known military contact between Russia and the U.S. since the start of the war. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Washington.
After decades of disputes and deep mistrust, South Korea and Japan are taking steps to thaw relations. Mark Stewart has more from Tokyo.
The visit here in Tokyo between Japan's prime minister and South Korea's president appears to be a new era in diplomatic relations. These two nations have had a difficult past, and now they're trying to move forward amid some shared stress in the region. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida says Tokyo and Seoul have agreed to resume shuttle diplomacy to open a new chapter in relations in a joint statement with South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol. President Yoon saying, quote, "We agreed today that the people of the two countries have suffered direct or indirect damage due to the frozen bilateral relations and agreed to restore and develop Korea-Japan relations as soon as possible." President Yoon also agreed to completely normalize its military intelligence sharing agreement with Japan. Relations between the two nations have been difficult in recent years, soured over several issues, including a wartime labor dispute that had emotional, economic, and political implications. No start date has been set to resume shuttle diplomacy, but this is happening in the face of North Korean nuclear and missile threats. In addition, we're already seeing a thaw. Before this meeting, Japan's trade ministry said it would lift export controls on 3 South Korean products, including one critical for the production of semiconductors. Seoul, in turn, agreed to lift its complaints with the World Trade Organization. Both leaders hope exchanges between the two countries will expand to politics, economics, and culture. Mark Stewart, CNN, Tokyo.
The Hawaii Emergency Management Agency is set to test or upgrade warning sirens on Oahu. The test began at 9 a.m. this morning and will continue through 4 p.m. this afternoon. Testing will take place in Wahine, Nu'uanu Punchbowl area, Hawaii Kai, and Kaneohe. Officials say at each site, testing will take about 30 minutes to an hour. The 6 sirens are part of the statewide outdoor warning system, which will alert the public about a hazard such as a tsunami or a hurricane. Testing will also take place tomorrow. Let's head on over to Kauai now. This is a look at Poipu on Kauai's south shore. You can see some clouds and some breezy trades passing through, but ultimately nothing too severe. For a look at your island weather, let's send it over to Guy Hagi.
The next chance for rain comes in sometime on Sunday, mainly for Kauai. Now, this front's not going to move very much, but it's going to kind of get dispersed out from Monday on, so we'll see a few more scattered showers. But notice the bulk of the rain will remain to the west of Kauai. Still, though, we will see some scattered showers from Monday on. That's for the rest of the state. So Kauai in line to get most of the rain from that front. And again, it's going to start for them Sunday. For the rest of the state, we'll see some peel-off showers coming in Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but we're not talking about a whole lot of rain. And we're not talking about a whole lot of wind either. The wind's going to remain rather light for the stretch of the forecast. Now, we got southwest corner winds today and tomorrow. That means we could see a little bit of fog, a little bit of haze. And because the winds will run fairly soft through the weekend, there's also a chance for afternoon clouds and some afternoon showers, maybe even brief heavy downpours, but they won't be widespread. So all in all, a pretty nice run of fairly calm weather. And again, get ready for a few more showers starting on Monday through the middle of the week.
Sports now, our Kyle Chanan is in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, as the Rainbow Wahine are set to take on LSU in the first round of the 2023 NCAA tournament.
Dylan, Ash, aloha from Baton Rouge. I just touched down in the Bayou State, and I'm standing outside of the Pete Maravich Activity Center, the site for tomorrow's NCAA first-round matchup between the Rainbow Wahine and the LSU Tigers. Now, the Bows make it into the big dance after claiming their 4th Big West Conference championship in program history, their 2nd straight in as many years, so a big feat, while they have to face the number 3 seeded Tigers, and it's going to be a bit of a battle. They're going to have to deal with All-American Angel Reese. This is the Tigers' first All-American since 2008, but the Bows aren't worried about that, guys. They have been a scrappy team all season long, starting the year out at 1-7, but clawed their way back to make it into the conference championship game and defend their title. So they don't see it as an issue, and they will be looking for that scrappy attitude to continue into tomorrow night. Now, coming up, the Wahine have their final practice ahead of game time, and coming up in our later newscast, we'll hear from the team and coaches. But for now, reporting from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, I'm Kyle Chinen for This Is Now.
Some supermarkets are using new technology to help identify shoplifters, but critics say it's a violation of privacy. Linda Baquero has both sides.
The signs at this fairway on Broadway and 74th Street tell you that navel oranges are on sale. There's another sign alerting shoppers that this supermarket collects, retains, stores, and shares information to identify you, like eye scans and voice prints. Have you noticed that before?
No, I haven't. Where is it? I don't like it.
I didn't notice that.
I think the sign should be bigger.
Fairway's parent company, Wakefern, says that biometric identifier information, or BII, is helping our store reduce retail crime. Only trained asset protection associates use the system, which helps us focus attention on repeat shoplifters. They say they're following all laws and that retail theft and shoplifting has a high rate of repeat offense and drives up grocery costs for all customers. Nancy Bashana told us she's witnessed shoplifting.
It's enraging, and I want Fairway to stay and be able to afford to stay.
There's a lot of shoplifting, and they have to do something.
Oh, stop. So somebody can stop Campbell's soup, please.
Any issues with privacy concerns or anything like that?
Honestly, I don't, because I know that just walking around New York City or London or any major city, that there's cameras everywhere.
The D.C.-based Electronic Privacy Information Center has concerns.
Just because they don't sell it doesn't mean it is being disseminated without selling it or that they're getting that information from other entities per se. So there's, kind of a loophole there, I would say, with respect to the law.
Now it's time to look at some good news, and we got something really, really cute today. Take a look at this. Oh, just how adorable. Look how soft.
rolls.
I know, right? 2 seals were recently released into the waters off of Maine. They were found during a snowstorm in Cape Elizabeth earlier this year. Now, residents noticed one of the lost animals, and the seal was guided back to the ocean twice. But he kept coming back, and when he was found on land a 3rd time, they were taken to a marine mammal rehab site. And that's where they found that the seal was underweight and required around-the-clock care. And so, as you can see, they are super happy to be back out into the wild. So cute. Just adorable. They look so soft and
They're
cuddly.
like dogs of the sea. Oh, I love that.
Oh man, I could just stare at the seal video all day.
Just
They
keep
are
it up.
so
Just keep
cute.
it up. No one wants to see us, Dylan.
Yeah, no one does. But one thing we do want to see is this beautiful live look outside. Thank you all so much for joining us here today on This Is Now. Ashley is back first at 4 on KHNL. Have a great day, everyone.
Aloha.